AFL. This is Josh. Doing something a little different this time around. I just got done playing Reese's Dolphins, and last time on AFL podcast with Nino and Stokes, and I think Edub and Sham were on there too. Nino talked about how he was thinking about miking up during his games and giving guys the vantage point that he has and kind of going through what he's thinking at certain plays. Stokes said that's kind of difficult for him to do because he likes to concentrate on what he's doing, and I'm right there with Stokes. It's tough for me to mic up and just like tell you what I'm thinking as I see it. I feel like I'd jinx myself if I'm like, oh, this is definitely cover three, and then it turns out to be man, and it's like, man, I look like an idiot. But so my alternative to that is when I get done playing, if I see a play or two that I think could be useful to you guys, I'm pretty much, it's, season 3 of Restart. This is the 8th season of AFL. It's June. I really don't care if you guys know what I run. I want you guys to get better too. I know I'm not the best player here, but I know I'm pretty good. If this can help you guys out, I'm all for it. If this is something you guys already do, well then just move along. So I tend to have pretty good defense year to year. And one thing that makes my defense really strong is the fact that I have really strong red zone defense. Now, a lot of guys already know this tip, but if you do, that's great. If not, then maybe this will help you out. So I have one big philosophy in the red zone, and it's called no deep blue zones. And the deep blue zones, so for those of you that may not know what I'm talking about, if you look at a regular two-man under defense and the deep blue zone, it's going to have the deep safety starting, here, but then his main coverage is going to be to drop back 20 yards. Well, you're in the red zone. I mean, they're not going to throw it over your head for 40 yards. In my opinion, especially with the way zone defense is played in this version of Madden, I don't think there's any point really ever, but especially in this Madden, of wasting a player in a deep blue zone in the red zone, because what he's going to do is he's going to drop back to about this spot of the end zone, and you're going to be able to hit a post underneath him, or you're going to be able to, hit a little underneath route, and then he has to come up and tackle. So the first thing I do in the red zone is no matter what, I hot route my deep blues. So this play here is actually cover 4 contain. So what you have is out of 3-4, and you have 3 rushing linemen, and then you have 4 deep blue zones, and the 2 middle backers are in, off the top of my head I don't remember because I hot route almost everybody. The 2 middle backers are in yellows, and actually I think this guy might be rushing. Yeah, I don't know. There's 4 linebackers, and actually they're not even on the screen now because of a glitch. So there we go. That's better. So you have 3 rushers. These 2 are in yellow, and I believe this guy's in yellow, and then this backer here is rushing, and then every defensive back is in a deep blue. So what I do, if you watched my stream against Reese, you probably saw it. First thing I do is I put the 2 outside corners on purple zones. So you're going to get the deep blue drop back effect, but instead of going all the way back here, they're actually going to drop out to about here. And that helps take away corner routes. It helps take away wheel routes. That's a very tender area of the red zone that a lot of guys try to attack. And inside the red zone, if you can protect the front part of the goal line, you're doing something. So both my cornerbacks are going to go on purples. My safeties go on yellows. The thought process there is the hook zone. So instead of my defensive back dropping back to here and then coming up, my defensive back's going to drop back to about here. And so he's got his feet on the goal line. And then if they try to put it over his head, he's in perfect position to intercept, because you want your defensive player underneath, not on top of. So then what that gives you is it gives you a purple, and then the guy that's blitzing, I always put him in a yellow too. So you have a purple, and then you have 2 purples on the outside, 3 rushers, and you have the 2 stock yellows, the 2 safeties that I just put in yellow, so that's 4, and then the 2 outside backers are also in yellow. So that's 6 yellows. And then what I'll do with one of them is I'll put one of these inside backers on a QB spy. And that's in case somebody tries to run around with their quarterback. Then I can send my spy after them if they're trying to do the rollout and playmaker, which you guys all have seen. If they do that and they start doing that, you push your R2 button in. I think it's called R3, and it'll send the spy after them. That'll shut that shit down real quick. So if that frustrates you, that's how you shut it down. But so the one tender area on this particular coverage is if they're right on the 20, which is the red zone. I'm sure most of you know that, but they're actually on the 22 here. Is the purple route that Gilmore's on here? It doesn't quite cover back to the goal line, so it'll go like to about here. So there's a tender area right in here where the yellow will sit here and Gilmore's here, and if they have a good receiver in that spot, you want to be on alert for that. So that's why in this particular setup, Reese loves him some Deshaun Jackson, but don't worry about who the receivers are in this. In this particular setup, your biggest threats for a corner route are always the sides of the field that have the most receivers lined up on. You're going to get a flood pattern or something. So my guess, like looking over here, there's not really a corner route in the game that Landry can run. I mean, there's some funky looking routes, I guess, but what I'm talking about is that true corner route that comes in the Z spot that everybody does this year. That's only going to happen if there's two receivers on that side of the field. So that's where my user is. You see I'm usering Barron there, and my entire goal is to run right to the spot of the field where that deep corner would take away. So I'm going to let this play run a little bit, and maybe if I hit the right button, it would even be better. So let's back it up so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, so now all the players are on the field. For some reason, at the very beginning, two of my linebackers disappear. Woo, there they are. So I'm going to let it run a little bit. You see my user out there, Barron, is just dropping right to where that corner is going to go. And I want you to look at all the receivers Reese has. He was actually out in 5 receivers. I think 4 receivers and a tight end at this point. You got a bracket coverage on his running back looking like he's running a wheel. You have a guy on top of and underneath Landry, plus my middle inside backer on the yellow is also underneath this route here to the Stills, or is that the tight end? Let's see, who is that? It's the Stills, I think. Yes, Stills. But Stills is so fast that he's not going to keep up with him. But you like those odds. So as it runs through here, you have the back of the end zone as kind of like your 12th defender, and you just look on the screen, everybody's got 2 guys near him. Maybe that post route to Landry, he could have snuck it in there, but I think if he had gone for that, I mean, first of all, Green, my safety, he's running the route for Landry. Landry's not going to catch that ball. So what Reese tries to do is stick it into Stills there, and not only does Green converge on it, but so does Gooden. Now this middle backer here, he's not really doing much. What he's actually protecting against is if somebody's going to do a crossing route here, or he's my spy. So that's if Tannehill takes off. So I forgot what my own defense was. So you've got the corner route protected. Reese's only read on this throw was a little dump down here to his tight end and hope he could break a tackle. And, third down, I'll take those chances. I like those odds. Outside of that, he's got to make a really contested throw to any one of these receivers. And you can just see the difference, guys. If they were in deep blues, you'd have my safety here, Murphy, would be about 5 yards back further, and maybe Stills gets inside positioning, but all these guys converge, and you end up having 2 Bills fighting for the interception here. And red zone turnovers, I'm telling you guys, I mean, I don't have to tell you this about football, but you can hold them to 0 points in the red zone. Makes a big difference between winning and losing. And, guys like JD and Nino and Stokes, Edub, they all know this. There's a reason why you get down to their red zone and you can't score on them. But, if you don't know this, don't feel bad. And a lot of guys go out there and just run stock plays. And I would just tell you guys, this is the perfect time of year. Play around with stuff. I thoroughly believe in no deep blue zones in the red zone. I'd encourage you guys to do the same thing. And, maybe go to practice mode and practice doing all the hot routes. Because I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different adjustments on this. Throwing guys in yellow, throwing guys in purples. Now, one thing I would say is, since this was third down, I don't really care about the flats. They can take the flats, and I'll just trust that my guys are going to converge. So there's that. I believe it happened again at a different point in the game. Let's see, because he had 2 interceptions in the red zone. Okay, so we just showed Green's. Okay, this is Barron's interception. So this one's in a little tighter. Let's see if we can pull this out here and look at it. Guys, this is the same exact philosophy here. So one thing you want to watch out for, though, so I was in such a hurry to get these guys their assignments in. Like as soon as my defense comes out, I start throwing Darby in his purple. I throw Green in his yellow and all that stuff. If you throw them in their purple before they get to their spot, you get this problem here. Now maybe Reese didn't see it, or maybe he did see it, but since he had the play action by the time that Tannehill got done playing the play fake, but that's 6 points if Reese notices that. So that's a little pro tip, is you don't want to do your corners right off the bat. That's a big miss on my part, and you don't want to make mistakes like that in the red zone. But same exact philosophy here. No deep blues, especially inside the 10. And you want to make sure you get a spy out there. You don't want to let them get a cheap quarterback run for a touchdown. You can't live with yourself. You give up a quarterback run for a touchdown in the red zone. So God, if I could just press the right button, that would be fantastic. So, see the problem over there, though. He could have popped that in for a touchdown, but carries out the play fake. Nobody covering that receiver. This, to me, looked like Reese just knew who he was going to throw it to right off the bat, and there are 4 bills right there. So, I like a numbers game. If he somehow comes down with it with an aggressive catch animation, more power to him, but I'll take my chances, and Mark Barron picks it off, and crisis averted. A little tip, guys. Hopefully it helps you out along the way. If not, then, whatever, move along. But that's just a little something I do in the red zone. So thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you next time.